Welcome to the Military Peak YouTube channel. Let's start with the latest news of the military agenda. Martial art is one of the broadest concepts in the world, just as Sun Tzu explained years ago. Strategies, tactics and technology are the most important elements that keep an army ahead. When we look at the Ukraine-Russia war, we see one of the most important examples of this. On the one hand, Russia, which seems stronger in terms of quality and quantity, and on the other hand, a weaker Ukrainian army. When we stop and think, this war seemed like a conflict that Russia would end in a week. But now more than a year has passed since the beginning of the war, and Russia is having a hard time advancing on the fronts, let alone gaining victory. The successful strategies and tremendous capabilities of the Ukrainian army are the main reasons for this. On the other hand, of course, the aid provided by the Western allies. When two forces came together, an unstoppable force emerged. This force is coming to bring the end of Russia. According to the latest news from the front, the Ukrainian forces launched their long-awaited counteroffensive. In a statement made by the General Staff, it was stated that Ukrainian missile and artillery units hit 2 Russian checkpoints and an electronic warfare station. It is among the news that the Ukrainians carried out 2 missiles and 28 airstrikes in total. Currently, it is reported that the operation in the region continues at full speed. It was reported that the Russians, who survived the first shock of the counterattack, tried to carry out attacks with the orders from their superiors. According to the Ukrainian State Border Guard Service, the Russians want to break through the defense lines of the Ukrainians. It was noted that the Russians, who carried out missile and unmanned aerial vehicle attacks on the positions in Bakhmut, could not achieve the success they wanted. Bakhmut is like a fortress right now. According to military reports, the Russians, despite their losses, are trying to break through the defensive line and are sending new waves of infantry to replace the neutralized ones. As a matter of fact, the strength of these Russian attack waves is decreasing day by day. According to Ukrainian officials, the Russians had to seriously reduce their offensive. It is normal for Russians who have problems with soldiers and ammunition to have such problems. The counteroffensive of the Ukrainians began at this time in the Zaporizhzhia region. Ukrainians know that although the Russians have a group of soldiers there, Russia already lacks the logistical capabilities to support the 4 fronts they are attacking. In addition, since Zaporizhzhia is located between the Donbass and the Crimean Peninsula, it divides the Russian supply lines into 2. This tied the hands of the Russian troops. It is also reported that Ukrainian artillery attacks were recorded on the border of the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions, as well as the Luhansk and Kharkiv regions. At this time, information about the beginning of the offensive of the Ukrainian army was voiced by the Telegram channel Topaz Says. Ukrainian authorities have not yet made a statement, but we did not expect this attack to be reported. The east of the Kherson region is also a target of the Ukrainians. While these allegations continue to come, Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba, held contacts with his Japanese allies. Kuleba officially announced that they held a meeting in Brussels with his Japanese counterpart, Yoshimasa Hayashi. The rapprochement of Japan and Ukraine is of great importance globally. Because Japan is one of the few production giants in the world, the support they will give to the Ukrainians can directly affect the course of the war. In addition, the diplomatic power of the Japanese authorities is very high. In this way, Japan can discuss and solve the fighter plane problem of the Ukrainian army with the USA or any allied country. As a matter of fact, it is thought that this is the main topic of the meeting of the 2 countries. Making statements after the meeting held in Brussels, Kuleba said that he received assurance that the issue of the supply of F-16 warplanes will be resolved in a short time. According to Kuleba, the Ukrainian side eliminated some of the arguments of those who claimed that the supply of Western aircraft to Ukraine would be too long, too difficult and almost impossible from a practical point of view. In addition, Kuleba stated that the information he provided about Ukraine's readiness to operate F-16 warplanes, which is much higher than some believe, will be discussed with the political leadership of NATO countries. At the moment, all eyes seem to be on the NATO summit, which will be held in Vilnius in the coming months. One of the main topics of this meeting will undoubtedly be the supply of fighter jets. Immediately after these statements, important news came from the USA. This news was announced as good news for Ukrainians. According to the latest information, the U.S. Department of Defense announced another military aid package worth $2.6 billion to Ukraine. Accordingly, the package consists of two parts. The first part includes the rapid delivery of weapons currently used by the U.S. military to Ukraine. Secondly, there are the weapons that the weapons factories in the USA will send to Ukraine after they complete their production. It was noted that the package includes many systems such as additional ammunition for NASAMS systems, 9 30mm anti-drone guns, 10 CUAS laser-guided mobile missile systems, 3 air surveillance radar stations, 30mm and 23mm anti-aircraft ammunition. However, no statement was made about the warplanes. With this aid, the amount of aid sent by the U.S. Army to Ukraine reached $33 billion. This is even more than the sum of aid from other European and Asian countries. The country that contributed the most to the victory of the Ukrainian army will undoubtedly be the USA. The Pentagon is really proud of that, and I think they should. There was a development regarding the main battle tanks, which is another important need of the Ukrainian army. Minutes after the U.S. Army announced the aid package, it was announced that the training of Ukrainian operators trained for Abrams tanks had been completed. This statement means that the Abrams main battle tanks will soon be on their way to Ukrainian soil. The Russians are very uncomfortable with the aid provided to Ukraine by the Western allies. Especially Putin is aware that every day spent in the war works against him. They can't find a solution to this. Every day Russia loses the war seriously damages its reputation in the international arena. Although many officials in the Kremlin want peace for this reason alone, it seems that Putin will not give up without losing the war. This loss of authority of Russia causes the economic power in its hands to decrease gradually. Sea routes in the north of Russia are a major source of income for the Kremlin. While the control of the region was generally in the hands of Russia, with the war, Turkey and China began to take control of the supply lines. It is very important that this economic power is taken from Russia. Because Russia manages to partially close the deficiencies in its army in every period when the war is stagnant. NATO is aware of this and is doing everything to prevent it. At this point, Turkey's role is very important. As you may recall, Turkey stood at an equal distance from Russia and Ukraine at the beginning of the war. Turkey, which has been an intermediary country for peace talks many times, put its relations with Ukraine in the foreground in the future. For Russians, this means a nightmare. Because Turkey was a strong partner for Russia both in the Black Sea and in the Middle East. I expect Turkey and NATO to take more sharp steps against Russian aggression in the future. In the coming days, we will follow all the military and political developments in the world, especially the Russia-Ukraine war, for you. To be informed of developments faster, you can subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Also, if you like our video and leave a comment, you will make us feel your support. For now, I wish everyone a good day. See you soon.